All right, well, y'all been paying attention to the news recently? Yeah, as busy as I've been not doing episodes of the podcast, I have kind of been able to keep up. And it's been an interesting Democrat primary. I can't wait to see how Super Tuesday goes tomorrow. Basically, Biden won big in South Carolina. That's really surprising. Warren is hanging on by a thread for no apparent reason because she's already dead, or her campaign is. And CIA Pete finally drops out. Crazy, crazy. And I mean, I've been doing a lot of videos talking about this primary process and the fact that I think the Democrats are once again trying to hijack this from Bernie again. Uh, So I'm just going to break it down for you as I see it. Usually I like to do a retrospective on the news because I don't like to feel like I'm reporting the news. But I'm making a special exception because I've not been doing a lot of episodes and this is something that I pay a lot of attention to. So Pete basically, I still think he's a spy. I still think he's a CIA spy sent to basically sideline Bernie's campaign. And I'll tell you why I think he dropped out. Because what's he going to do now? Right? Failed presidential candidate goes back to being a mayor? No. Failing in a presidential race is still bigger than being the mayor of anything. Except for maybe New York. Just throwing that out there. Uh, so, no, I mean, he can't run for state senate. He already lost that. He has no support in his state as a senator, so that's not going to happen either. So his campaign kind of puts him in a weird spot now that he's drawn out. But here's what I think happened, because Pete was always a big nothing, right? Like he was just strange. He kind of seemed like a normal guy, just came out of nowhere. He's a big gray blob that's pretending to be a progressive leftist, and it's, to me, it's kind of obvious he's pretending because he lays it on thick sometimes. But then he's like in disguise as a moderate, or not really moderate, more like a liberal Democrat. But if you're only looking at Democrats, he falls more towards the middle as opposed to progressive. But it all just seems so weird and fake and canned. I really hate it, and I think that that's why he is a lizard person sent by the CIA. So that being said, where does he go from here now that he's gone? Because he's carrying about 8% of the vote. Basically, the way I see it, his vote is split between two different camps. There's people who look at his actual policies and positions and see that he's not a moderate, he's a progressive. So he's got a few of those people that are they're progressive curious. They're not full progressive yet. They're just experimenting right now with their politics. So there's those people that are in Pete's camp. And he gets them maybe because of the LGBTQ thing. Probably not, though, because I don't even think he's super strong amongst them. But the rest of his voters are just the low-calorie Democrats, just default Democrats, he's an attractive young guy. What a nice young man, like that lady who found out he was gay and then wanted her vote back in the caucus. That's a real thing, by the way. You should, holy shit, in 2020, I had no idea that people were still out there like that. But anyway, so his support splits, but Warren is still in. So if you support Pete Buttigieg, you're either going to go towards the moderate or you're going to go towards the progressives. The problem is, if you go progressive and you're low calorie, you're probably going to pick up Warren because you're low calorie. Like, oh yeah, I'm going progressive, but I actually don't know anything, so I'm going to vote for a woman. It was the same reason they were voting for Pete, because he's gay and he's attractive. Just saying. Well, he has a nice voice. I don't know that he's really attractive, but he does have a good voice. You got to at least give him that. So they split, they go that way, but Warren's going to pick up some of those and keep Bernie from getting an actual fair share of Pete's support. Now, the ones who go the other way automatically go to Biden, because it's either Biden or Bloomberg, and Bloomberg doesn't have 15%. So in the Democrat primary, he doesn't get any delegates. So That's also kind of, you can't forget that. So that being said, Biden's the one who's going to win the biggest out of this, and this still supports my theory that Warren also is an establishment crony sent to sideline Sanders. So that's what I think happened with Pete and Warren, and how Warren can help the establishment by staying in, and Pete can help the establishment by pulling away. Now, this still gives you the question about what's going on with Bloomberg. Like I said, Bloomberg, he's under 15% in the polls, so he gets no delegates. He doesn't count as a moderate. But this whole time that he's been in, and nobody's allowed to vote for him, what is he there for other than maybe to split the Democrat vote in case Bernie wins? Then Bloomberg has the press attention to run as an independent and try and steal some moderate Democrats and give it to Trump because they're friends, and they always have been. I don't care about their Twitter war right now. That's the truth. So Bloomberg, if Bernie wins, then Bloomberg he's just going to stay in as an independent. He's been financing his campaign independently. It's not going to be a problem for him to continue to do it. So there's, once again, that's the avenue for Bloomberg taking out Bernie. But in the meantime, Bloomberg gets to stand on stage, even though he's not in the primary. You couldn't vote for him in the primary. Why is he allowed to be in the debate if you can't even vote for him in the primary? Makes no sense, except for he gets to snipe Bernie from the back. I say from the back because he's in the very, very back of the race of the people that actually matter, now that Tom Steyer's gone. But he gets to make all these really great sound bites. He lets them, he's just the punching bag the whole time, so everybody leaves Joe alone. But then when he hits back, he doesn't hit back at anyone else, because why would he? There's not much to say about Pete. Warren's not a real candidate, and Joe Biden's basically already dead. So he just gets to point out the hypocrisy for Bernie. Bernie, who's a millionaire. Bernie, who used to rag on millionaires and billionaires, now just rags on billionaires. He gets to point out that Bernie owns multiple houses, that he's got his home, his Washington, D.C. home, incredibly valuable, and his Summer Lake home, because everybody has a Summer Lake home. It's very in touch. No, and then you also see those stories like what was it? Was it Variety or Vanity Fair? It was one of those two. About they randomly run this story. Oh, Bernie accidentally gets on the wrong private jet. Ha ha ha. Yeah, you don't think that the guy who's put $500 million into his campaign, you don't think he paid some journalist to write this, like, oh, what a funny, silly hit piece. Oh, haven't we all had a long day at work and accidentally walked the wrong Honda Civic? It's just like that, except for this guy has a whole ton of money and preaches environmental politics. You see, it's not a direct attack. I really think that Bloomberg has just been in the race to snipe at Bernie so that Biden gets it, or he stays in as an independent. I was an independent the whole time, and I really hate guns. What about you, Bernie? You see, his positioning is a little too convenient if you assume the malice in there. And I know you're not supposed to. It's not Occam's razor. What is it? Malcolm's razor? Not to attribute malice where you can more easily attribute stupidity. God, I hope I did that right, or Palmer's going to make fun of me. He always does. I don't even think he listens to my show. I think he just thinks I'm stupid. But no, so well, he's right. Oh, Jesus. So yeah, I think that's the plan with Bloomberg. Now, okay, here's the thing though, right? I have to write this down or I get completely off track. Bloomberg sniping at Bernie. All this is going to do is make Bernie seem less populist, right? Because Trump kind of leaned into all that stuff. Trump also ran as a populist and won, which is why a Bernie-Trump, take like a Bernie-Trump matchup, there's no way to guess. Moody's Analytics, like the first time they ever got it wrong was with Trump. And it's because people, thought that Trump was, relatable, not in so much as they thought they were like Trump, but they see Trump at the kind of the way that they see a good boss. And I honestly think that that's really what it is. The kind of boss that says, no, I work for you. I'm here to try and make your job easier. I really think that's how Trump supporters see Trump. It's not this whole thing where they think that they're going to be future millionaire billionaires. It's that they see Trump as like a good boss. Like, you want to work for that guy because he sees his job as a means of helping you with your job, either getting you the materials or setting you up for success, whatever it is. Again, I'm just saying I'm pretty sure that's how they see Trump. Sorry. So Bloomberg sniping at Bernie shakes away these same populists that probably voted for Trump to help him get into office. But then they might have said, like, well, Bernie's once again talking about Medicare for all. This is important to me. That's what I really like about Bernie. He has correctly identified the problems. But if you've got someone like Bloomberg sniping at Bernie saying, like, this guy is disingenuous, as soon as he got enough money that he was a millionaire, all of a sudden millionaires aren't a problem. Oh, he wants to solve the homelessness thing. He's got 2 empty houses. I don't know. I think if Bloomberg does successfully shake away those people, they're going to go to Trump. Because they're like, well, there was the politician that could help. I guess I'll go back to the boss that was really nice to me. Or, well, at least made me feel like he gave a shit about me. I think that that's going to be what happens. So either Bernie damned if you do, damned if you don't. But again, where does Mayor Pete go? He can't go back to South Bend. He can't run for Senate in his own state. He could run for Senate in another state, I guess. But that's kind of obvious. No, I think that he gets a cabinet position or even a vice president spot on a Biden ticket. Because if Biden's running for president with Pete as a vice president, you might still be able to pick up some of those progressive Bernie supporters. Some. But I'm assuming that if you're the kind of person who goes to YouTube to listen to me talk about a Democratic Socialist candidate that I don't like, if you're here listening to me talk about it from a purely conspiratorial point of view, you're probably not the kind of progressive that's going to vote for a Joe Biden ticket if it shows Pete Buttigieg on it. Or maybe you are. Maybe you just really don't like Trump, or you don't care that Pete's in the CIA. You just really want those progressive values. And by all means, if that's what you want, then that's fine. Like I said, Bernie, not my guy. He's by far from my favorite candidate, but he has correctly identified all of the problems that normal Americans are affected with. I think, personally, I feel the solutions that he's posited are not effective. I don't think that it'll work without causing more problems elsewhere, but he has identified the problems. I don't want them to steal the primary from Bernie, because if Bernie gets the Democrat nomination, these problems have to be addressed. Conservatives can't go on any longer and just look at the healthcare system and say, well, I guess that's as good as it gets. Like that, because that's the solution they're offering. How are we going to make it any better? And that's not a solution. So if Bernie gets the nomination, these problems will have to be addressed. Whether he wins to Trump or not, I kind of doubt it personally, but again, it's anybody's guess. Because literally nobody knows. You can't claim that you know what's going to happen. You can have a better guess than mine. But if Bernie does get the nomination, then that's going to be the kinds of issues that they have to discuss all the way up until November. And they're going to have to continue talking about those things again in 2024, no matter who wins. So I hope he gets it. And especially if he has the support and he deserves it, then I absolutely hope he gets it. But I don't know. Everybody loves a good conspiracy unless you're sitting in the middle of it. And I love a good conspiracy because I don't know. I don't know. I spent my whole life waiting for this crazy period of history. So here we are. And I'll leave it there. Anyway, this is Common Criminal Podcast. I'm your host, Vince Polson, and thanks for listening.